Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in May 2025. My name is Nick and I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through the exam blueprint, thereby taking you through the examiner's comments to make sure that you understand what the examiner expects from you. And in the second part, I will talk about what you need to do to develop a high level of confidence, because it is essential that you start believing in yourself. So many students who have already completed mock exam 1 got in touch with me, and it seems like you guys are panicking and saying that the mock was hard. Well, when conducting preparations, it's totally fine for you to feel that way, because it's good to feel that way when conducting preparations, because if so, it indicates the fact that you will definitely take steps to overcome these issues, improve your knowledge levels, improve your application skills. If so, you will be extremely comfortable at your real examination. So with that in mind, I will share some tips which will ensure that you build your confidence levels. And at the same time, at the very end of today's session, I will share some tips pertaining to how you should manage your stress levels, especially when attempting each of your mock exams. Because if you are capable of managing stress levels when attempting each mock exam, then you will know what to do, how to tackle stress at your real examination. And reminding you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. So we are actually done with the webinar series after today's webinar, and we are kickstarting our workshop series from next Saturday, in which Jared is going to take you through your F2 syllabus, and after doing so, he will take you through one of the mock exam questions and its answer tied to your F2 syllabus. So likewise, in the upcoming weeks, we will be conducting workshops focused on your P2 and E2 syllabi as well. Again, Jared will be conducting these sessions, and in each of these workshops, we will be conducting a Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can get them addressed on a weekly basis. And in the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last-minute tips with you, with the intention of making sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity. So make sure to attend these webinars and workshops without fail on a weekly basis, which is the best way to keep your performance on check, and at the same time to get your questions addressed. All right, so let's look at what the examiner tells us. So first things first, if you are to develop good answers, what are you expected to achieve? Let's try to understand that. So first things first, when developing answers, you have to make sure that your answers are totally aligned with each requirement. That's exactly why the examiner is saying that you need to focus on relevance to the requirement. So with this in mind, if you attended last week's webinar, or if you had already watched the recorded version of the third webinar, answering technique, I highlighted the fact that before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner, with the intention of gaining a good and clear understanding of what each requirement is. And when you reiterate the requirement in a simplified manner, it will also help you whilst you are developing the answer plan, because you can always refer back to a simplified requirement and see whether you are developing an answer plan which is 100% aligned with each requirement. So it's essential that you do this when attempting mock exams, that you practice this technique, which is to simplify your requirement, because you are supposed to do the same at your real examination, with the intention of gaining a clear understanding of the requirement. If not, however long your answer is, so how many points you include within your answer, you won't get any marks unless and otherwise your answer is 100% aligned with the requirement. So it is essential that you reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner before you develop your answer plans. And also, the examiner tests whether you have gained some theoretical knowledge or technical knowledge via your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. And at the same time, the examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of applying these theoretical concepts when developing your answers. So if you are coming through the OCS examination, you know that the OCS exam is a highly theoretical examination. So if you are conversant with your E1, F1, and P1 OTQs, if you are conversant with how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam, you can gain extremely good marks. But at this stage, actually one or two students got in touch with me who came through OCS and landed at MCS. You guys are finding it a bit difficult compared to the OCS exam. You are finding the MCS exam to be a bit difficult. Why is this the case? Because 50% weightage is provided towards testing your theory knowledge, and 50% weightage is provided towards testing your application skills at this level. So just because you know your theories, you cannot pass this examination. Instead, you need to really understand how to apply these theoretical concepts, how to apply these knowledge areas when developing answers. So that is exactly why we have mentioned that it is essential that you gain a good understanding of how each theoretical concept can be tested at the exam. With this in mind, you are supposed to attempt 6 mock exams because it takes 6 mocks to cover all syllabus areas. If you're planning to pass this exam by just attempting 2 or 3 mocks, you will be testing your luck at your real examination, because as per what I highlighted in last week's webinar, you can't cover the entire syllabus across 2 or 3 mocks. So it's essential that you attempt 6 mock exams, which are intended to cover all syllabus areas. So in order to make sure that you are knowledgeable of all theoretical concepts, you have to make up your mind to attempt 6 mocks. And at the same time, not just theories, your application skills are tested as at this exam as well. So because of that, you need to stick to our answering technique when attempting each mock exam. And at the same time, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans after attempting each mock exam. So when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, this is when you are actually testing your knowledge concerning your application skills. So you have to attempt the 6 mocks to learn all theoretical concepts, to understand how each syllabus area is tested at the exam. Then after attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans, and then you are supposed to compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's. You are supposed to do this with the prime objective of improving your application skills. Also, if you had invested on the premium course, you will gain access to the master classes focused on mocks 2 to 6. And in each masterclass, our prime objective is to teach you the theoretical concepts covered within each mock exam, and also to explain how to work on your application. So if you have theory knowledge gaps concerning theories, or if you are clueless about application, don't worry. The masterclasses are intended for you. Watch the masterclasses to learn theories covering the entire syllabus, and also to understand how to apply, how to work on your application skills. And at the same time, you're not just supposed to watch these master classes. You are supposed to conduct revision, which is to redevelop answer plans. And when redeveloping answer plans, you are testing your application skills once more. You are trying to figure out whether you have gained something via the master classes. So you need to cover these 2 elements. And on top of that, when it comes to developing answers, you are supposed to develop well-structured answers. So that is exactly why it's essential that you get your grasps with the answering technique which we highlighted. Just knowing this answering technique and time management techniques won't help. You need to practice to get your bearings with them. That's exactly why we have given you the opportunity to attempt each mock exam under exam conditions via TCS's exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system. So if you had already attempted mock 1 or 2, you know what I'm talking about. You know what the platform is all about, and the type of issues you'd face when operating in a totally different platform which you are not too aware of. So it's best that you get your bearings with all these technicalities when conducting your preparations, rather than facing these technicalities or issues when attempting your real examination. So it's essential that you get your grips with the answering technique, because the examiner expects you to develop well-structured answers. So that's as per what I mentioned in last week's webinar. 99% of the students out there, what they do is they read through the scenario. After doing so, they start typing their final answer. You are not expected to do so. Instead, you are supposed to stick to the answering technique, which we highlighted in last week's webinar, in which you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes of your time to develop the answer plans concerning all the subtasks which appear within each section. So if you are clueless of what I'm talking about, please go watch the recorded version of the third webinar, which can be accessed via our student dashboard or our YouTube handle. So you are supposed to spend some time to plan out your answers. I'm not saying this, it's your examiner who wants you to do so. And on top of that, when it comes to your final answer, it should be in paragraph form. So I explained this in depth in last week's webinar as well. After developing your answer plan or your answer structure or your mind map, taking 20 minutes of your time, then utilizing the remaining 20 minutes of your time, you are supposed to expand your answer plan, thereby developing a paragraph per answer point. So in your answer plan, for a certain subtask, let's assume that you intended to include 7 valid points, then in your final answer, you need to have 7 different paragraphs. I explained all these things in depth in last week's webinar. Go watch it if you missed it. And also, whenever you are bringing some type of an argument, you need to back it up with appropriate justification. So there's absolutely no point of recommending something if you are not ready to argue your point, because as a senior finance manager, you should, as a finance manager rather, you should have the capability of convincing your senior finance manager. So when it comes to convincing your superior, it's essential that you back up your arguments with appropriate justifications. So if you achieve all these things, you will gain extremely good marks, because the marker will see your answer as a good answer. So that's why it's essential that you learn the answering and time management technique, which we taught last week. And at the same time, that's why it's essential that you practice these answering and time management techniques to make sure that you are capable of developing answer plans within 20 minutes, and you are capable of expanding each of your answer plans within 20 minutes in paragraph form. So I hope you would have practiced mock exam 1, at least mock exam 1 by now, under exam conditions via our exam platform. When doing so, although we have asked you to develop the answer plan within 20 minutes, you might have taken 30 to 40 minutes. That's totally fine. With practice, you will develop the ability and the confidence to develop answer plans within just 20 minutes. Okay. Then let's try to figure out what you are supposed to achieve before the exam. So before the exam, you are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So it's essential that you are conversant with all syllabus areas. I've seen tutors, some tutors out there saying that certain syllabus elements cannot be tested at the MCS exam and whatnot, which is total bullshit. You have to be conversant with all syllabus areas. That's exactly why, as I mentioned earlier, you need to make up your mind to attempt 6 mock exams with the intention of ensuring that you gain a good understanding of how each syllabus area can be tested at your real examination. So you have to be conversant with all theoretical concepts. So just learning these theoretical concepts won't help, because as I mentioned earlier, a 50% of weightage is provided towards testing your application or testing whether you are capable of applying these theoretical concepts when developing these answers. So that's exactly why it's essential that you attempt 6 mock exams in order to understand how each syllabus area is tested, and at the same time, in order to fine-tune your application skills concerning all syllabus elements covered under your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. And as I mentioned earlier, before the exam, you are supposed to work on your application skills. So when developing answers, you need to apply to the scenario, or you need to consider the information presented in each scenario, thereby working on your application skills. That's exactly why I said that in last week's webinar, I mentioned this. I said that there's no point of referring to past exam variants or past papers and trying to, conduct your mock exam practice based on past variants or past exam papers. Why is this the case? The scenarios highlighted in past variants are aligned with a totally different pre-scene. So when conducting your preparations focused on this time's case study, it's essential that you practice mock exams which carry scenarios which are totally aligned with this time's pre-scene, which is based on Trimayr. So it's essential that you practice exam standard and pre-scene specific mock exams. And also when attempting each of these mock exams, do it under exam conditions, practice our answering and time management technique. After doing so, when conducting revision, redevelop answer plans to further improve your application skills. And before the exam, the examiner expects you to practice tasks. All right, so that's where the mock exams come into play. And when it comes to practicing tasks or practicing mock exams, you are supposed to type or write full answers. So what are full answers? Full answers or full mock exams are mock exams which consist of 4 sections, just like in your real exam. So in your real exam, across 3 hours or within 3 hours, you need to attempt 4 different sections, and the time allocation for each section is 45 minutes. So when attempting mock exams, you should make up your mind to attempt mock exams under exam conditions. And what type of mocks should you attempt? Full mock exams, not mini mocks, because you would have dealt with some study providers who are sharing mini mocks with you, which consist of or a certain mock exam which just consists of 1 or 2 sections, but at your exam you have to sit in one place across 3 hours and be exposed to a time pressured environment, or operate in a time pressured environment and be exposed to extreme levels of stress across 3 hours, because you have to attempt 4 different sections. So it's essential when attempting your mocks, you do it under exam conditions. That's why we have developed an exam platform which is akin to the Pearson BUE system, which gives you the opportunity to practice each mock exam, which consists of 4 sections under real exam conditions. Because at the exam, in the first 2 sections you will do fine, because if you look at our human brain, our attention span is for something like 45 minutes. So we can focus on something for 45 minutes, and when we strain our brain further, we'd be exposed to stressful situations, and this stress leads to fatigue. So in the first 2 sections, you'll be extremely comfortable with the first section. In the second section, you'd feel some type of fatigue, and from section 3 onwards, you will be exposed to extreme levels of fatigue, which leads to extreme levels of stress. So it's essential that you are experienced, or that you are exposed to these type of issues, exposed to a situation where you operate in a time pressured environment, exposed to the type of stressful situations which you'd face due to extreme levels of fatigue. It's essential that you are experiencing these things when attempting mock exams rather than at your real examination. So in this webinar, towards the very end, I will share some stress management techniques with you, with the intention of making sure that you manage your fatigue levels, manage your stress levels. And the only way of managing your stress levels is to practice the stress management techniques, which I'm going to teach you in a little while. So from mock 3 onwards, as per our study plan, you should be done with the first 2 mock exams by now. So from mock 3 onwards, on top of the answering and time management techniques, you are supposed to implement stress management techniques as well, because if you do so, you would be extremely comfortable at your real examination. So that's exactly why the examiner wants you to practice full mock exams, because even after having access to full mock exams, I've dealt with students who, when it comes to attempting mock exams, they'd attempt section 1 of a certain mock today, section 2 of a certain mock tomorrow, and section 3 day after tomorrow, and likewise. Whereas at the exam, you can't take a break between sections. You have to sit in one place across 3 hours and attempt 4 sections, one after the other. So rather than taking breaks when attempting mock exams between sections, or rather than attempting each mock exam on a section by section basis, it's essential that you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions, so that you know what type of issues you'd face, and at the same time you know how to overcome these stressful situations. So that's what you're supposed to achieve. before the exam. And during the exam, you are supposed to plan your answers. So again, the examiner says that you are supposed to develop answer plans or spend some time to plan out your answers before you develop your final answer. So as I mentioned earlier, good answers require well-structured answers. And if you are to score good marks at the exam, you need to plan your answers. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to plan your answers within 20 minutes, covering all subtasks which appear within a section. So for you to build the capability to develop answer plans or plan your answers within 20 minutes, it's essential that you keep practicing our answering technique. If not, if you try to implement this technique for the first time at your real examination, although you are expected to develop the answer plan within 20 minutes, you will take 35 to 40 minutes. If so, you will run out of time. You will give half-hearted answers because just because the answer plan appears on the answer screen, you are not going to get any marks unless and otherwise your answer is in paragraph form. If you are providing answers in bullet points or single line sentences, you won't get any marks, even if your answer is accurate, because the examiner expects you to develop answers in paragraphs, as I mentioned earlier. So it's essential that you get your grips with this answering technique. You will only develop the capability to develop answer plans within 20 minutes if you practice the answering technique across the 6 mocks which we have developed for you. And the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So as I mentioned in last week's webinar, you are going to gain marks based on the examiner or the marker is looking at the quality of your answer, not the quantity. So just because you come up with lengthy answers, you are not going to get any marks. Instead, based on the weightage provided under each subtask, you are supposed to determine mark allocations. After understanding mark allocations, since each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include under each subtask. And based on it, you are supposed to develop the answer plan. So when you do so, you will develop answers which are totally aligned with mark allocations. So your answers will not be too long or too short. So don't think in terms of a word count. I've seen tutors out there saying that in order to gain this amount of marks, you need to come up with this amount of words, which is not the case, because in a real life corporate environment, is your superior going to look at the length of your response or the quality of your response? The superior is going to look at the quality. So likewise, since the CIMA examiner wants to replicate a real life corporate environment, definitely the marker is going to look at the quality of your answer. That's why it's essential that you master the answering technique which we taught in last week's webinar. So all these things we have covered so far. We have taught you how to achieve all these things in the third webinar. So if you missed out on it, please go watch the recorded version. And after learning them, keep practicing the answering and time management techniques which we have taught you in last week's webinar. All right, so looking at the marking criteria, as I mentioned in last week's webinar, mark allocation for each subtask appears as a percentage. Based on it, you can determine how many points you need to include under each and every subtask. If you are still clueless about this, please go watch last week's webinar's recording. And the marker is picking quality over quantity. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the remaining 2 parts of our webinar, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And via this free user account, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops which we conduct, the free mock exam, its suggested answer, and the answer plan. Also, you have the opportunity of attempting the free mock exam, which is mock exam 1, which consists of 4 sections. You have the opportunity of attempting the entire mock exam via our exam platform. So click on this button, create a free user account to gain access to this free content. And if you are yet to check our sample material, before you invest on our paid content, please check our sample material. And if you are yet to join our MCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this forum, we will keep you guys informed about the weekly webinars and workshops, the commencement dates and times. And at the same time, we will share some free resources with you. Also, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get them addressed via this WhatsApp group. So please join it. And talking about what we offer two packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who have completed their OTQ exams. So since you have already completed your OTQs, you are already conversant with your syllabus elements or theoretical concepts covered under your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. If so, you simply need to improve your application skills. So you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops via the essential course, 6 mock exams with suggested answers covering all syllabus areas, pre-scene analysis videos, 5 videos in total. So you need not try to decrypt pre-scene information on your own. Simply watch these 5 videos. You will gain an in-depth understanding of what your company is up to and what type of an industry it operates in, and and you'd gain a good understanding about its financial performance as well. And you'd also gain access to the annotated pre-scene, the industry analysis, and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is the annotated pre-scene. As you can see, we have come up with annotations with the prime intention of summarizing the entire pre-scene. And on top of that, we have tied to all this information, we have also indicated the possible exam scenarios which can be tested. And tied to these possible exam scenarios, we have also mentioned the examinable syllabus areas as well. And when developing your 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these elements so that you are 100% ready to face any type of challenge at your real examination. And talking about the industry analysis slides, these slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry. Then in the second and third parts, we have highlighted about what happens within your industry and the type of challenges and opportunities the players within this industry face, considering real life companies, so that you gain a good understanding of the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you based on these trends, challenges, and opportunities at your real examination. And at the very end, we have shared a real world example with you to make sure that you gain a better understanding of how a company which is similar to Trimayr operates within your chosen industry. And talking about the financial analysis slides, you would have seen financial statements at the very end of your pre-scene document, not just your company's financial statements, but its closest competitors as well. So we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you gain a good understanding of what appears within each financial statement. So we have evaluated the SOPL, the SOFP, and at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis, thereby comparing your company's performance against its closest competitor so that you can easily gain a good understanding of where you stand, where your company stands against the closest industry player. All right, so all these resources are included under the essential course, and you'd also gain access to the top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most prominent issues or scenarios which can be tested at your exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you are in a position to gain a good understanding about the technicalities behind your MCS exam. You will gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So if you opt for the essential course, you are supposed to attempt mock exams on your own. After attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you struggled with a certain subtask or a theoretical concept, simply refer to our OTQ revision cards to brush up your knowledge in a jiffy, rather than wasting a lot of time trying to go through your bulky study texts and study notes and whatnot. So simply refer to our OTQ revision cards to brush up your theoretical knowledge. So the essential course is priced at £249. And talking about the premium course, this is intended for those who had attempted the exam previously, but unfortunately failed the MCS exam. And at the same time, this is also focused on those who are coming through the exemption routes. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of bridging these gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application, we have included some additional resources on top of what appears under the essential course. So you will have access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mocks under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And you will also receive one-on-one tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, mocks 3 and 5, so that you stand a chance to gain a good understanding of what your shortcomings are. Let me quickly show you the type of feedback on offer. As you can see, we have evaluated each and every point, each and every paragraph, with the intention of highlighting your issues, because it's essential that you understand your issues when conducting your preparations. If so, then you can take steps to overcome these issues when conducting preparation, when conducting your revision, or when redeveloping answer plans. So these are the type of feedback on offer. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. And we also indicate a success rate, which indicates the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. And when conducting your revision after receiving tutor feedback, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow, which is the best way to overcome your major issues as per the tutor feedback you receive. All right, so that's the type of feedback on offer. And you'd also gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So on top of the mock exams and the suggested answers, you will also gain access to the answer plans of each of our mock exams. So this is an answer structure at your disposal, which makes your life easy when it comes to conducting your revision. By going through these answer plans, you can easily understand the logic behind each answer, the structure of each answer, and at the same time you can easily spot application or how to apply your theoretical concepts. So the best way to improve your application skills and answering technique is to gain access to these answer plans. And you'd also gain access to 20 master classes. So we have developed these master classes focused from mock 2 up until mock 6, because the master classes concerning mock 1 are covered via the third webinar, last week's webinar, as well as the upcoming 3 workshops. So in each of these master classes, the objective is to take you through the logic behind each answer concerning each and every subtask, and at the same time to teach you the theoretical concepts covered within each of our mock exams, and at the same time to teach you application skills. Because at this stage, there's no point of learning theories in isolation. Instead, your job should be to, or your objective rather, should be to learn theories and application whilst going through the mock exams, because then you'd realize how each syllabus area can be tested at your examination. So it's essential, if you have knowledge gaps and issues with application, it's essential that you gain access to these 20 master classes. And once you have access to all this content, you will pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium course and end up failing, you will gain access to the premium content in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete these 3 requirements. You have to complete all 6 mock exams under exam conditions. If not, you will be testing your luck at your real examination. Your solutions should be original. So when attempting each mock exam, you are not supposed to refer to the suggested answers, the answer plans, or the master classes. Do it on your own with the prime objective of understanding your shortcomings. If so, when conducting your revision, you can take steps to overcome these issues. And you are supposed to meet the performance criteria, where in which you are supposed to achieve 40% or higher, focused on the last 3 mock exams. We have come up with this performance criteria to make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mocks, because by the time you are at mock number 4, you should have mastered the answering and time management techniques which we have taught you so far. So once you have completed these 3 requirements, you will pass for sure. That's why the premium course comes with a pass guarantee. So the premium course is priced at £749, which can be paid in 2 installments of £374 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you will save £100. If so, the price is going to be just £649. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. And if you are planning on sitting for the MCS exams, which are happening in August, you can invest right now and kickstart your preparation so that you'd have some additional time to focus on your preparations. And let me quickly take you to the MCS study plan, and let's see what you are supposed to achieve within this week. So within this week, you are supposed to direct your attention towards mock number 3. So within this week, you are supposed to dedicate just 9 hours of study time, and within when allocating these 9 hours, you are supposed to take 3 hours to attempt mock number 3 via the exam platform. After attempting mock number 3, watch the 4 master classes with the intention of understanding the logic behind each answer, understanding the theoretical concepts covered within mock number 3, and to improve your application skills. And once you are done with it, redevelop answer plans, again reworking on your application skills, which is the best type of revision you have to be involved with. After doing so, refer to personalized tutor feedback, which you'd receive focused on mock number 3. So within this week, focus your attention towards mock number 3. Complete all your preparations, complete your revision, so that you can focus your attention towards mock number 4 in week number 5, which is the week after next. All right, so that's what we offer. That's what you're supposed to achieve in this week. All right, so having said that, let's move on to the second part of today's webinar, in which I'm going to share some thoughts about how you can develop confidence. So first things first, the best way to develop confidence is to stick to the study plan, because if you stick to our study plan, you are conducting preparations on a weekly basis. You are focusing on each mock exam on a weekly basis, and at the same time, not just attempting mock exams, you are also conducting revision, thereby redeveloping answer plans. So when you are taking steps not just to attempt the mock but to redevelop answer plans, you will significantly improve your theory knowledge and your application skills. So rather than waiting until the last moment to start preparations, because most students out there wait until the last 2 or 3 weeks to start preparations. If you wait until the last moment, you will definitely have time to attempt the 6 mock exams, but you won't have time to conduct revision. It's essential that you revise. It's essential that you redevelop answer plans to significantly improve your application skills. So with this in mind, if you are yet to start preparations, it's high time you do so. So, you can stick to our study plan. And if you are yet to start preparations, you can, drop me a message so that I can, share a revised study plan with you. You'd have to work a bit harder, because as per our study plan, in the upcoming week, you're supposed to just dedicate 9 hours of study time. But if you're starting right now, you'd have to dedicate some additional, amount of time. Towards the last 2 or 3 weeks of your examination, you will only have to dedicate 9 hours of study time. So stick to our study plan. I've explained the study plan in depth in the first webinar. And at the same time, as you saw a while back, you can refer to the study plan via our website as well. And also try and stick to a routine as much as possible, because at least in the upcoming 5 weeks, if you can stick to a routine, then you will perform really well, especially because when the exam is coming up, you will be stressed. Definitely that is the case when dealing with a hard exam such as MCS. This is not an easy exam to pass. So closer to the exam, however much prepared you are, you will be exposed to stresses or stressful situations. So in order to manage these type of issues, it's essential that you stick to a routine. So try to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time. And if you're finding it hard to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time, focus on your daily meal intake. Have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at predetermined times. If so, you will fall asleep at a certain time, which will enable you to wake up at a predetermined time. At least if you're not sticking to a certain routine, at least in the upcoming 5 weeks, try to do so with the intention of making sure that you walk into the exam with a calm mindset and a well-relaxed body. And when it comes to practicing mock exams, practice under exam conditions with the intention of mastering your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Because if you master these 3 skills, you will definitely excel at your real examination. At this exam, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application. The examiner is also trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stressful situations. Because as a management accountant, after completing this examination, you will become a management accountant. So one fine day, as a management accountant, you will climb the corporate ladder, or you will start your own business. So in both these instances, you are supposed to provide leadership to your subordinates, to your followers. So when that is the case, in order to provide leadership to your followers or subordinates, you have to have a high level of confidence, and you should have the capability of managing stressful situations. So the best way to improve your skill set, and the best way to improve your stress management techniques is to attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. That's why we have invested a lot of money and effort to develop an exam platform which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system, so that you are fully ready to face any type of issue which is thrown at you at your real exam. So attempt mock exams via our exam platform, and when attempting mock exams, do it in isolation. If you have kids, I know for a fact that it's not easy, because when you're at home, your kids will keep running to you. They will tend to spend time with you at all times. So lock your door, isolate yourself, just like in your real exam. Sit in one place and attempt a full mock exam, which takes up 3 hours of your time. And when doing so, stick to the exam technique routine, which is to dedicate 5 minutes of your time to reading, 20 minutes of your time for planning, and 20 minutes of your time to type. So, well, I explained all these things in depth in last week's webinar. So keep practicing these techniques when attempting each mock exam, and attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. When you have done this, by the time you are in by the time you are attempting mocks 4 or 5, you will see a significant improvement in your skill set, and this will drive your confidence. And if you wait until the last moment to attempt the mock exams, even if you have time to attempt each mock exam, there's a tendency for you to panic, because your mind will always keep telling you that you're running out of time or you don't have enough time. When this is the case, even when you are doing something properly, even if you are sticking to this answering technique, even if you're practicing this answering technique, you will keep doubting yourself. So in order to avoid all these issues, start right now, stick to the answering technique, attempt mocks under exam conditions. If you do so, closer to the exam, you will see a significant improvement in your skill set. This will lead to a high level of confidence, and this confidence will help you to perform really well at your real examination, because it's essential that you believe in your skill set. You are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. As a finance manager of Trimayr, if you are doubting yourself, then you won't do a good job. Your decisions or your evaluations will reflect your doubtful mindset. So it's essential that you build your skill set with the intention of improving your confidence. If so, you'd be extremely confident at your real examination, because first things first, you have seen the same type of questions when attempting the mock exams, so you know for a fact that you don't need to worry. And at the same time, you have taken steps to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, and you know for a fact that you have built your application skills, your theoretical knowledge, by going through a certain process, thereby sticking to our study plan. So that's what you need to achieve in the upcoming weeks to develop your confidence. And what are you expected to do to manage stressful situations? So before we talk about stressful situations, let's try to understand why us human beings are exposed to stress. All right. So when you are attempting your real examination, you are supposed to be involved with rational decision making. So when it comes to rational decision making, you are supposed to think through your prefrontal cortex, or the front part of your brain. So if your prefrontal cortex is working at the exam, then you will come up with the most rational type of decisions, and the most rational type of evaluations. If so, you will come up with extremely good answers. All right. But the problem is, the prefrontal cortex tends to switch off every 45 minutes unless and otherwise you have increased the capacity of your prefrontal cortex. So if you look at the human brain, it's just like some other muscle within our body. You can build it, you can increase the size of your brain. So if you do certain things, certain practices, you can increase the size of the prefrontal cortex. But unless and otherwise you have done all these things for some time, for something like 10 years, if you look at a normal human being, just like you and me, our attention span or our ability to utilize the prefrontal cortex is just for 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes, there's a tendency for you to be exposed to some type of a stressful situation. And when your brain is exposing you to a stressful situation, as human beings, our tendency is to take a break. So at office, you might have experienced this. You can focus on something for 45 minutes at a stretch. However, after 45 minutes, there's a tendency for you to take a break. So at office, you can, whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation, you can, have a chat with your colleagues, or you can, drink some tea or coffee, or if you're into smoking, you can smoke. You can, get out of your cubicle or get out of your workstation, get some fresh air. You can do all these things so that you are calm and composed once more, and then you can sit in your workstation and start working once more. And after 45 minutes, again, there's a tendency for you to take a break. However, at the exam, you can't do so. Although the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, although in a real life corporate environment, you can take any amount of breaks you want, at the exam, you can't do so. You have to sit in one place across 3 hours and be exposed to extreme levels of stress. So that's exactly why I said that you'd be comfortable with section number 1, because you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex. However, from section 2 onwards, you are exposed to stressful situations. Your brain is asking you to take a break, but you can't do so. Because of that, you are trying to fight all the stresses which you experience, and this leads to extreme levels of stress, and extreme levels of stress leads to something called brain freeze. Brain freeze is a situation where you can't think. You are trying to read through a scenario, nothing goes into your head. You are trying to develop an answer, you can't type anything. Even if there's an answer plan at your disposal, even if you have developed the answer plan, if you're exposed to brain freeze, you can't expand your answer plan, because nothing comes to your head. If you had attempted the MCS exam previously, or if you had completed your OCS exam, you know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure you might have been exposed to brain freeze at least once when attempting your previous OCS or MCS exams. So that's why it's essential that you are exposed to these type of stressful situations when attempting each mock exam. If that is the case, after today, after learning these stress management techniques, whenever you are exposed to stressful situations, you are supposed to get out of these stressful situations by practicing what I'm going to tell you in a little while. If so, you will develop the ability to manage stressful situations at your real exam. So as I mentioned earlier, every 45 minutes, your prefrontal cortex wants to take a break. And when this is the case, the brain functions will shift from your prefrontal cortex to a small part of your brain called the amygdala. And when the amygdala is in play, you will be exposed to a fight or flight response. So a flight response is a situation where you walk away from a stressful situation, but at the exam, you can't do so. You can't walk away from your exam. If so, you'd end up failing the exam. So the only other option is to fight a stressful situation. And what are you expected to do to fight a stressful situation? You are supposed to take steps to switch off the amygdala. So I'm going to talk about what you need to do to switch off the amygdala in a little while. Right now, you know how your brain functions. You are supposed to think through your prefrontal cortex. After 45 minutes, the brain functions will shift from your prefrontal cortex to the amygdala, which exposes you to extreme levels of stress or emotional situations. So at the exam, when your prefrontal when your amygdala is in play, you tend to sweat profusely. Sometimes you'd get extremely emotional. You might start crying. You might start feeling all jittery. You'd have sweaty palms and whatnot. So all these things, you'd be exposed to all these stress related issues due to the amygdala, which becomes active because you're not thinking through your prefrontal cortex, or your brain is asking you to take a break. So the best way to manage these type of stressful situations, the best way to make sure that your amygdala does not activate, is to stick to our answering technique. Because always remember, you are operating in a time pressured environment. When operating in a time pressured environment, when you try to multitask, you'd be exposed to stressful situations. So don't multitask at your exam. As per our answering technique, you are supposed to focus on one activity just once, rather than trying to balance two different activities. So you are supposed to dedicate, in each section, you are supposed to dedicate 5 minutes of your time for reading, then 20 minutes for planning. And when it comes to typing, you are not supposed to juggle between planning and typing. Instead, since you already have an answer plan at your disposal, you know what to include in your final answer. So it's simply a matter of fleshing out your answer plans, or expanding your answer plans in paragraph form. So most students out there, they will do the first step properly. They will read through the entire scenario within 5 minutes, but they will try to plan as well as type at the same time, because as I mentioned earlier, 99% of the students out there, right after reading through each scenario, they start typing their final answer. So when they are typing their final answer, they are trying to plan as well as type, trying to do both these elements, trying to tackle both these elements in a time pressured environment, which is not going to expose you to a successful situation. So in order to successfully manage your stress levels, don't try to multitask. Instead, focus on reading, then move on to planning, and then move on to typing. When you do so, when it comes to typing, since you have already developed the answer plan, you know for a fact what type of information you should include in your final answer. When this is the case, it's as if you are taking a break when you are typing. So you will be utilizing your prefrontal cortex in the first 25 minutes when it comes to reading and planning. And once you know what to include within your answer, you can take a break, because typing becomes easy when you know what type of information you should include within each answer. So it's essential that you take a break towards the last 20 minutes of each section. If so, then you are well poised to utilize your prefrontal cortex 100% when you are in the next section. When you're in the next section, in the first 25 minutes, again, you will utilize your prefrontal cortex to its fullest capacity, and then you can sit back and relax when it comes to typing, thereby making sure that you are not stressing your prefrontal cortex too much. And even after doing this, especially towards sections 3 and 4, due to fatigue setting in, you will be exposed to stressful situations. So even after sticking to our answering technique, if you still encounter stress, you need to take steps to switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off your amygdala is to focus on your breathing. So you need to, whenever you are exposed to stressful situations, you need to close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. When inhaling, take a deep breath and count to 3 slowly. And when exhaling, exhale the entire breath and again count to 3 slowly. You have to do this across 2 minutes at least, to make sure that you are calm and composed once more, to make sure that you have switched off your amygdala and you have therefore shifted your brain functions to the prefrontal cortex. So the only way to achieve this is to focus on your breathing. When doing so, close your eyes and do this activity for 2 minutes. Inhale through your nose, count to 3 slowly, and exhale through your mouth, count to 3 slowly. And if you do so, you will come out of a stressful situation. So just like our answering technique, Just knowing this stress management technique won't help. You need to get your grips with it. So that's exactly why we have given you the opportunity to attempt each mock exam under real exam conditions. So whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation, I want you to practice this technique on top of the answering and time management technique which you learned last week. So now you know three different techniques. You know how to develop your answers, you know how to manage your time, and now you know how to manage stressful situations. So across the 6 mock exams, keep practicing this technique whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation. This practice will ensure that you are capable of managing stressful situations at your real examination. And it's best practice for you to take a 2-minute break between tasks or sections. So let's assume you are done with section number 1 and you are at section number 2. The time, you would see the timer running out or counting down from 45 minutes. That's totally fine. Close your eyes for 2 minutes. Focus on your breathing. Inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. When inhaling, count to 3 slowly, and when exhaling, count to 3 slowly. Try to do this with the intention of making sure that you are refreshing your brain. So before you start each section, take steps to refresh your brain. Take steps to make sure that you shift your brain functions to your prefrontal cortex. Take steps to make sure that you are trying to relax your brain, to make sure that you are calm and composed both mentally and physically. This will help you to avoid unnecessary stressful situations at your real exam, because as I mentioned earlier, your prefrontal cortex will work without any hiccups in the first 45 minutes. However, after 45 minutes, there's a tendency for it to switch off. So when you do this, when you take steps to take a break before attempting each section, it's as if you are shifting your brain functions to the prefrontal cortex once more. And you can also try and calm your nerves by drinking some water, but you can't do so if you are attempting the exam at home. And in certain examination centers, they won't allow you to, the invigilators won't allow you to take a water bottle. If so, you can't do this. So the best way to get out of a stressful situation is to focus on your breathing, switch off your amygdala, and before starting each section, take a 2-minute break, let the timer run out. That's totally fine, because if you take a 2-minute break and take steps to relax your brain, then it will help you immensely rather than trying to fight a stressful situation. Because if when you are trying to fight a stressful situation blindly, then it leads to further levels of stress or extreme levels of stress, and this leads to um, you know um, you being not you not being in a position to manage your stress levels, because your amygdala is in play 100%. If so, you'd be exposed to brain freeze. So avoid all these issues. Get your grips with this technique when attempting the upcoming mock exams, and if so, you will manage your stress levels properly. You will develop high quality answers, and at the same time, you will manage your time in a successful manner as well. And you are supposed to avoid these deflections in the upcoming weeks. So don't rely on predictions, because you can't predict the type of scenarios which can be tested at your exam. Because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar series, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So as a finance manager, are you in a position to predict what the company is going to face, the type of opportunities Trimayr is trying to exploit, and the type of threats or issues Trimayr is going to face? Even if you are the CEO of the company, you won't have the capability to forecast 100% accuracy what the company is going to face in the future. So there's absolutely no point of relying on predictions. Instead, simply focus on attempting the 6 mock exams and conducting revision focused on the same 6 mock exams. And excessive industry analysis is a wastage of time, because we have already developed a set of slides concerning the industry. So simply go through it. Within 15 minutes, you'd gain a good understanding of what real life companies go through within your chosen industry. Other than that, you should solely focus your attention towards what appears within your pre-scene and what appears within your mock exams. And misguided use of past papers is a problem. So as I mentioned last week, as well as at the beginning of today's webinar, there's no point of referring to past exam variants or past papers, because these past variants are based on a totally different pre-scene, and the scenarios as well as the logic behind each answer which appears within past variants has nothing to do with your present pre-scene document. And information overload is a killer. So however much prepared you are closer to the exam, you will feel that you have not done enough. So because of this, you tend to refer to your past notes, go through bulky study texts, do everything under the sun. So avoid this deflection, because me as a student, I can remember I well, I was involved with self studies. So because I didn't have time to attend lectures and whatnot, so I had to do my studies on my own. So because of that, I had to force myself to stick to a study plan. And closer to the exam, when I was supposed to relax, even after fulfilling the study plan, I still ended up referring to the study texts out there. So you are not supposed to do it. Instead, simply stick to our study plan, in which you are supposed to gain a good understanding of the pre-scene by referring to the annotated pre-scene and watching the pre-scene analysis videos. Once you are done with it, kickstart your mock attempts, attempt a mock exam, then watch master classes to learn theory and improve application, and then take steps to redevelop answer plans. That's the only thing which you are supposed to do. Don't do anything else, because even after doing all these things, if you are purposely trying to do something which leads to additional stress levels, then you might be negatively impacted closer to the exam. So it's best to relax closer to the exam rather than doing all these unnecessary things. And overemphasis on the exam blueprint is a waste of time as well, because we have covered all the elements in the 4 webinars which we have conducted so far. So avoid these deflections. Simply focus your attention towards completing the 6 mock exams and conducting your revision based on the same 6 mock exams, thereby pre-developing answer plans. That's the only thing which will take you through this examination. And you might be planning to attempt the exam at home. If so, you need to visit this link and see how your Pearson VUE system works. And I will share this link with you after this session via the WhatsApp group. And you might be thinking as to whether you should attempt the exam at home or you should attempt the exam at an examination center. So if you are experiencing internet issues at home or regular power cuts, don't attempt it at home. Don't attempt the exam at home. Do it at an examination center. It's better to avoid all these technical difficulties at your real examination. And we are happy to say that we achieved a 92% pass rate in the last MCS examination. And those who stuck to our study plan were capable of passing the exam with flying colors. So as you can see, Kelly, prepared with different study provider and failed the exam by getting 67 marks last time, but joined us in the last 3 weeks leading up to the February 2025 exams and ended up scoring 97 marks. So that's why you need to focus your attention towards attempting the 6 mocks and conducting revision based on the same 6 mocks, because if you do so, you can easily gain extremely good marks at your real examination, even if you have failed the exam previously. So having said that, I'm going to dedicate the time towards the Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop a message on the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email. And you can also email us at info@study@tcs.com and WhatsApp us on this number. And I invite you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to a good pre-seen mind map spread across 6 videos. So on your way to office, for instance, you can keep watching these set of TikTok videos to keep yourself constantly reminded about what appears within the pre-seen. And also you can refer to the pre-seen mind map, which can be downloaded via our student dashboard on a daily basis to keep yourself reminded of what appears within your pre-seen document. And if you're yet to read the blog post, visit our website and check this blog post. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the webinar series. And from next week, we are kickstarting our workshop series. I hope you'd attend them without fail as well. And, as per our study plan, you are supposed to focus your attention towards mock number 3 within this week. If you're yet to complete mock 2, start right now. Stick to the process, which is to attempt a mock, watch the master classes, and redevelop answer plans. If you do so, closer to the exam, you will have enough time to relax and conduct your revision. So I hope you'd successfully adhere to the study plan, and I expect to conduct the last workshop in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you. So all the very best in the upcoming weeks, and I'll see you guys. You'd actually get in touch with Jared next week at the F2 workshop. Thank you very much for joining. See you.